5 laps to go. Will be 4 at the line for the 03 car. Pereira is in sights, and good God, here we go in the back. 4th place is a 4-wide battle.
Everybody searching for what they can with 4 laps to go in this one. Look at Dean Reynolds up there mixing it up inside our top 5. Pereira hanging on to second. Berger settled into third. Higby's working around the outside. You can see the 79 down low. Jeff Sharp's up there. Dylan Davidson having a great run for himself, the Ramrod. And now we're coming to 2 laps to go, and Matt DeRitter is out cruising right now. Not too much. Oh, no! I say that, and he tags the wall, Joe.
1.5 laps to go. 3 sets of corners make it 2. Matt DeRitter on the outside. Richie Pereira on the bottom. White flag comes out for him. Matt stays to the top. Very nice run through 1 and 2 for him. Pereira might have a chance. Is he going to send it in? He'll try. Maybe dig in a little bit. In 3 and 4, side by side to the line, DeRitter with the momentum. Matt DeRitter is going to win the Frozen Frenzy at Cedar Lake Speedway. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Williams Grove Speedway, the site of the 47 Technology CyberNationals in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. We're going through the inside of the first set of corners. You really got to dip down low and feather the throttle if you want to stay to the inside in these very sharp hairpin corners. 3 and 4, the entry is a little bit wider and longer. The apex kind of gets narrow as you exit turn 4, so sliding up the racetrack's the way to go to hold your momentum. Going to the top side is really going to help at the beginning and end of the night, as you can see. A lot of grips stay up there over the course of the evening before it gets slick and rubbers to the bottom. Down the back straightaway and under the bridge into turn number 3. The wall really crowds you into the entrance of turn 3, and out of turn 4 it does a little bit more of the same. But you can get a really nice run off the top side and kind of feather it into the long straightaways here at Williams Grove Speedway. And that's your track tour for the 47 Technology CyberNationals. Laps to go. Will be 4 at the line for the 03 car. Pereira is in sights, and good God, here we go in the back. 4th place is a 4-wide battle.
Everybody searching for what they can with 4 laps to go in this one. Look at Dean Reynolds up there mixing it up inside our top 5. Pereira hanging on to second. Berger settled into third. Higby's working around the outside. You can see the 79 down low. Jeff Sharp's up there. Dylan Davidson having a great run for himself, the Ramrod. And now we're coming to 2 laps to go, and Matt DeRitter is out cruising right now. Not too much. Oh, no! I say that, and he tags the wall, Joe.
1.5 laps to go. 3 sets of corners make it 2. Matt DeRitter on the outside. Richie Pereira on the bottom. White flag comes out for him. Matt stays to the top. Very nice run through 1 and 2 for him. Pereira might have a chance. Is he going to send it in? He'll try. Maybe dig in a little bit. In 3 and 4, side by side to the line, DeRitter with the momentum. Matt DeRitter is going to win the Frozen Frenzy at Cedar Lake Speedway. .47 Technology is now offering special merchandise to support your favorite drivers of the BRP iRacing series. Be sure to head to that Etsy link below to go to 47 Technology's page and find all of the custom 3D printed accessories available on the store. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Grove Speedway, the site of the 47 Technology CyberNationals in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. We're going through the inside of the first set of corners. You really got to dip down low and feather the throttle if you want to stay to the inside in these very sharp hairpin corners. 3 and 4, the entry is a little bit wider and longer. The apex kind of gets narrow as you exit turn 4, so sliding up the racetrack's the way to go to hold your momentum. Going to the top side is really going to help at the beginning and end of the night, as you can see. A lot of grips stay up there over the course of the evening before it gets slick and rubbers to the bottom. Down the back straightaway and under the bridge into turn number 3. The wall really crowds you into the entrance of turn 3, and out of turn 4 it does a little bit more of the same. But you can get a really nice run off the top side and kind of feather it into the long straightaways here at Grove Speedway. And that's your track tour for the 47 Technology CyberNationals. Five laps to go. Will be 4 at the line for the 03 car. We return to the heart of central Pennsylvania for another stop in sprint car country. One tour of modified racers heads to a track opened in 1939 that has been an integral part of auto racing in America since its infancy. This half mile, with some of the longest straightaways on our calendar, hosts the 9th race of the season for the BRP iRacing series. Welcome to the virtual Williams Grove Speedway in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Resident Pennsylvanian Joe Donahue here with you live on BRPtv alongside my partner in crime, Canada's own Jonathan Howe. We are stoked to bring you the first inaugural 47 Technology CyberNationals tonight with 47 laps on the docket for our feature. After a big shakeup in points last week, Jonathan, can we expect another unpredictable night of iRacing at the Grove?
That's what I'm wondering right now, Joe. I don't know what to expect tonight. I hear that there's some favorites in some big blocks like Brandon Plank, which obviously most of the field does not want to hear. But when we're looking at the time trials right now, we see the big dog, Ryan Beagle. He's posted the fastest time so far in this opening practice session here. Travis Miller right behind him. Cody Higbee also up at the front of this one. So maybe there's some drivers who are holding back a little bit in practice, and maybe this track will come to them. But either way, I think the length of this one, the long straightaways, like you say, I think this is going to be a bit more of a tame race, if you will. But it should sort out the men from the boys, if you will.
And that is something that Williams Grove is very well known for doing. Williams Grove is going to be one of the most difficult racetracks on the season. I think these guys, modifieds, this is a sprint car track. It's in sprint car country. So to run big blocks or small blocks, you got a wider car, a little bit more momentum carrying around. It should be a interesting curveball for all the guys in the field. And especially when we look at the points, Jonathan, I think that's something that a lot of these guys are kind of feeling due for.
Yeah, the points are going to be it's starting to be worth the conversation, right? I mean, we're getting down to the time where every spot counts, every heat race counts, because there are valuable points available for us all, or for all these drivers, I should say, in the heats. I think, I look at drivers who may have left a couple points on the table throughout the year. Tonight is the night where you want to right that ship and make sure you're maximizing the amount of points that you can get all season long.
Absolutely, it is. And we wanted to talk about those points coming into this race. Gavin Isley with the championship lead at 333 points. Brandon Plank with 311, but he missed a race, and that would count towards his off week or his drop. Jamie Porter in third, Ryan Beagle fourth, Cody Higbee, that's your top five. Then it's Travis Miller, Matt DeRitter, Dean Reynolds, Jeff Sharp, and Adam Hilton rounds out the top 10. And Jonathan, we're one race from getting to halfway into the season. Brandon Plank has had pretty much a stranglehold on race wins so far, but Gavin Isley, Mr. Consistency so far this season. When we look forward, do we look at race winners or do we look at consistency in the latter half of the season, or when we're talking about who are we going to crown as champion for the series?
I think it's still tight enough that you're going to have to go out and win some races, especially if you want to close the gap. Here's someone like Travis Miller who's sitting a little further back in the pack, not necessarily out of it. I mean, within striking distance for sure if Isley and Plank have bad nights, but you got to go out and win one. Jamie Porter, another guy who's got to go out, get a win. I was giving him a little bit of the business before we started in the Discord chat, and he's fired up, he's focused, and Ryan Beagle, another guy who you mentioned, he's at the top of was at the top of the speed charts, still up there right now. Why not him tonight? Why not him to make a big move in points and maybe mix up that top 4 or 5?
Absolutely. And we want to take a second to also make a shout out. There are a couple schemes on the field here tonight that are new. And we'll just highlight quickly before practice ends. For the 47 Technology CyberNationals, a couple of the guys running tributes on behalf of 47 Technology. One of them is Pat Reiser. I think he's the only one on track with the special paint on the car. He's running a Greg Hodnett tribute tonight. We've got Jamie Porter in a Tobias modified. Dean Meitzler's running a Dominic Buffalino car. The Beef and his brother Liam are the Dietrich brothers tonight. They'll be Billy and Danny. And there's just a couple other guys in there. But we wanted to also make a shout out because these guys are going to be racing for a trophy tonight. That's right, 47 Technologies putting one up for them, so they're going to have something fun to race for here as they go through one of these trickier tracks. I think this was kind of one of those dirt tracks we call a paperclip. It's hard to compare this sort of a paperclip shape to some others like Gateway in the asphalt world, but a pretty tight track and pretty tight corners. And once it gets slicked off, especially, not really a very easy track to drive. This is going to be very technical for the entire evening. And as a result of that, I think we got about 8 drivers in the small blocks tonight. Now, obviously, when we run the longest straightaways of the season, Jonathan, small block, that's not really going to help anything. But when the track really slicks off, do you think the kind of harder radius of these corners gives it an advantage at all to the small blocks?
That's what I'm watching for sure, Joe. I think the small block, it's not going to be advantageous in the heats. It's going to struggle, especially during the hot laps. I think we can all expect that. But as the chaos of a race starts to take place, as the track surface starts to change, what the small block guys can do remains to be seen for sure, but I think the track is going to come to them at some point, and you got to be just in position. Like, I look at like a guy like Jamie Porter, who we talked about. He's only 14th fastest right now in this opening practice session, but what if he can, hang around the top, just outside the top 5, or just inside the top 10, like 9th, be there at the end, see what happens. Maybe you can make it a good points day or even something more.
That's the goal, and I'm definitely thinking we're going to be watching that happen tonight. As we skip over into qualifying, we go. So they will have 2 laps each. There are 3 minutes on the docket to run in. And let's see who comes out first. We got Dean Meitzler out on the track. There's that Dominic Buffalino-inspired number 49 tonight. And he's going to be up to speed. He's the only Pennsylvanian in the field, so he is the hometown hero for the race tonight. We'll see what he can do with that car as he comes through 3 and 4. Kind of running to the bottom. Jonathan looks a little tacky there, so these guys should be running kind of down to the bottom for their qualifying laps.
Yeah, that's what I expect, right? Shortest distance around the racetrack. Like you say, it's a bit of a paperclip, bit of a tight turn for you to do, but you may as well, especially if you're in a small block tonight, you got to just either wind it up on the first lap, and then the second lap, maybe you can grab something, make it count on the bottom side. But you got to go shortest distance around this racetrack, at least for the time trial.
And Dean gets that first lap in, and he's going to be at the top of the board for the moment. And just as I say it, Richie Pereira comes through, and there's another special paint for the night, 47 Technology on the side. Richie's actually got a special paint on the car for the first time this season, and he put it to good use. Another guy who did the same with the special paint is Jeff Sharp. As Pereira puts in his second lap time, it's not better. Here's Jeff Sharp in the Sergeant Dave Special, tribute to the Marine Corps, and my father, who should be watching along with us in the 28 car. He was a 2800 when he was out in the service. A couple other guys out on track. The Beef, he's in a Danny Dietrich-esque car, and he is currently 14th on the board. So him and his brother down at the bottom going to have to put in a little more work to move up. And here is the co-host of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, Jonathan. There's Jonathan Howe. Or, excuse me, there's Travis Cunningham. You're Jonathan Howe.
Yeah, Travis and I, we actually just dropped a new episode last night. You might have seen it on the social feeds this morning. But we had Nelson Mason, sportsman driver here locally, to talk about his adventures down to South Carolina and Florida upcoming for, I believe he's going to be following the Short Track Super Series. And it was a good conversation, always a great chat with Nelson. Shout out to him and appreciate number 35 coming on episode 35 of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. And now we see the 18. I believe that's Gavin Isley running a bit of a different scheme tonight.
Yeah, Gavin Isley is supposed to be in 47 Technology colors. Trading Paint seems to be having some sort of issue with that right now. Here's Pat Reiser again in the 33 car. The Teach out of New York. You're coming around. He's in the top 10, and he's actually just running a couple extra practice laps right now. Cody Higbee sets a qualifying time, and we tried to jump to him. He jumps off the racetrack as soon as he gets onto third on the board. There's Dean Reynolds in the 79 machine, and there goes Dean.
Yeah, looking strong here at the had a pretty solid run last week as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing if he can keep up the momentum this week. Ryan Beagle at the top of the charts, but Brandon Plank, I don't know if he was sandbagging in that opening practice or if he figured something out, but he jumps up P2 as we've come to the end of time trials.
Yes, sir, and it's time for the first heat race of the night. We got 10 on the docket for this one. Let's try to pull a starting grid here. And Mr. Howe, why don't you go for it?
Ryan Beagle. fastest in practice, fastest in time trials. He leads us to green in the first heat alongside Cody Higbee. Tyler Joshimbowski lines up third alongside Travis Miller in the 22. Then it's my pal Travis Cunningham starting fifth. Alan Slight on the outside in the 2 car. Then Jamie Porter, the pistol, starts 7th in a small block. Dean Meitzler in the 49 will start 8th. Matt DeRitter 9th. And do we have a 10th car in this one, Joe?
Yes, sir. So it popped up for a brief second. Not sure why it disappeared, but the Beef Corby Daniels tags the rear of heat race number 1. And to show you that he is here, there's that beautiful Weikert's livestock machine. To the inside, there's Matt DeRitter. So hey, those are the 2 guys. Those are the co-owners of this series, co-directors of everything going on here. They're both in small blocks tonight, but they are the last row of the first heat race.
Yeah, it should make for hopefully some, I don't want to say drama between the 2, but at least some healthy competition at the back of the pack to start this one.
100%. And there is Jamie Porter in the Tobias-themed modified. A little bit further up is a special paint for Travis Miller. He's running a Greg Hodnett tribute. Ryan Beagle, he's on the pole. So we got 2 warm-up laps here before the heat races get started tonight. And since this track's a half mile, it's going to take us a little bit of time to get around the facility. So we'll take a quick moment to thank some of our partners here with the series, MDR Designs, Jam Performance, Creative Turnings, the Super Dirt Car Series, Dig Race Products, BRPtv, Southern Ontario Dirt Show, and of course 47 Technology for being on board all the way through the season. Ryan Beagle and Cody Higbee lined up beside each other. They'll go under the bridge at pace one last time, and then we get to set them loose.
Looking forward to this one. Good field of 10 cars in heat number 1. And in particular, I really like that front row. Joshimbowski shouldn't be counted out either, as he had some speed the last time we were out and had some misfortune as well, as we get ready to come to green in heat number 1 in the 47 Technology CyberNationals here. Look at this. A little bit of a slow start. I thought that maybe Beagle was going to hammer it as soon as he turned the corner, but he brings him in real slow, Joe, and he worked out perfect for him as he's driving away from the field.
Yep, and there they all go down the back straightaway. That's 10 cars. Oh, contact in the back there. There was a bit of contact with Cunningham and Slight, and there might be more with Miller and Joshimbowski as they come in through and finish the first lap of the heat race, the first lap of racing competition here. Miller looking to the inside, trying to run a DeWeese line through 1 and 2 under the bridge, and he is still all over Joshimbowski.
Yeah, he's trying. Look at him pitch that race car in, trying to find a way underneath Joshimbowski. He was on the outside, and I think that's actually where that contact started with Cunningham and Slight. Is actually, I think Miller and Joshimbowski may have had almost got together if they didn't touch, and then Miller had to lift, and it stacked everybody up. And it's created a bit of space in this one here as we've got everybody's kind of spreading out around this half mile and almost in pairs. As you can see, Cunningham and Slate battling. You got a battle between Joshimbowski and Miller, and then the front 2 also at the front of the field running away, but not letting each other go.
Yes, sir, and I want to see, let's ride on board with Miller down the backstretch because he was really getting low into turn 2. You see him pitch in. When you got all that grip in the racetrack, you may as well send it. Oh, we were on board for some contact. Joshimbowski just got a little love tap from Miller as they come to halfway through the first heat race of the night. And that is a look inside the 22 car. We'll jump back up to the lead because it's getting a little heated up front.
Cody Higbee doing all he can to find a way by the big dog. Ryan Beagle out front and still in control of this one by about a car length now as they hit the stripe and come to 3 laps to go now. And Beagle kind of running the middle groove. He's, I'd say, of all the drivers in this field, based on what I can see from my vantage point, seems to be the only one really running the middle. Is now Higbee trying to go up the racetrack and maybe find something up on the little higher lines, but everybody's sticking to the bottom so far. That might not play to the advantage of those big, small blocks as we get further into the night.
Yeah, the small blocks, the big blocks are leading the way here in the first heat race. The 4 of them running small blocks in this event, in this specific grouping, Porter, Meitzler, DeRitter, and Daniels, they are the last 4 on the field as the white flag now displayed for Ryan Beagle. He got maybe 2 car lengths in between himself and Higbee down the straightaway on the front end, and down the back, I think, well, unless Higbee has a chance at a big run here, I think, Jonathan, this is going to go pretty easy.
Yeah, Ryan Beagle just kind of coasting through as Higbee does sail it in and close the gap, but he's not going to have enough time and not going to get there. Ryan Beagle's going to win heat number 1 over Cody Higbee. Joshimbowski brings it home 3rd. Then it's Travis Miller in 4th. And I believe Alan Slate's going to hang on to 5th.
Yes, so that was a pretty good heat. I mean, we had some good racing there. Honestly, Jonathan, I'm feeling pretty good about the way that race went, and we'll put 10 more drivers out on the track for the second heat race of the night.
Yeah, I expect this track to really spread out as we take a look at the grid for heat number 2. Brandon Plank's going to start this one on the front row on the inside alongside Jeff Sharp on the outside. Then it's Dean Reynolds starting third alongside Richie Pereira. Pat Reiser will line up fifth, Brian Berger sixth, Gavin Isley seventh. Adam Hilton will start 8th in the 3-car, and Dave DiPetro is in the 68, and I don't believe has a car to the outside. I'm trying to do some mental math here.
Yeah, so Liam Daniels will be on the outside. DiPetro almost wasn't. He just popped into the car now, and so there's the 10 of them on the grid. Plank in his usual colors, Sharp in the Sergeant Dave Special, Dean Reynolds in silver and black with the small block. Then you got Richie Pereira in the turquoise and black. Pat Reiser in the Hodnet Tribute. Brian Berger running his standard white version car. Gavin Isley is in black and orange for the moment. Maybe we'll see if Trading Paints can fix that up. Adam Hilton to his outside in a small block we don't see a ton of in this series, or we haven't so far at least. And then we've got Dave DiPetro in the McIver throwback, and Liam Daniels driving a car in the essence of Billy Dietrich, so him and his brother playing together for Williams Grove this week and running as the Dietrich brothers. And that's a nice little fade on the side and everything for a car that's usually pretty well recognizable up north of the border, that Mike Bowman car that we see Liam run on a weekly basis. Kind of nice to put him in some new colors, as the 1 to green symbol is displayed for all of our virtual racers here at Williams Grove.
Yeah, it's been fun. All season long, we've had some unique paint schemes come out. These guys taking every advantage to be creative, show off their colors, show off some of their favorite throwbacks, and much more as we get ready to go. Green lights are out on the pace car, and so far, it's been a bottom-dominant racetrack, but I wouldn't put it past somebody in this field maybe starting to try the high side, especially with somebody like Brandon Plank starting on the front row. You got to do something if you want to mix things up, especially I'm looking at Gavin Isley to maybe try something different from the back of this field.
I definitely would agree with that. I think if anybody at the back end to try to shake things up, Isley's probably the one to do it to start the night off, at least, as they come down the long front straightaway. Packed house, and the green flag's out for the second heat race of the night.
Another slow restart, good control from Plank, but he's got a little bit of a challenge to the outside. Not quite as good of a restart as we saw from Beagle, although Plank will clear down into 3 and 4. And oh no, oh wow. I really thought Plank was going to turn it in a bit too early and clip that inside wall, but playing games with us, he obviously knew exactly what he was doing there, Joe.
Yeah, I was nervous about that too. He really sent it into turn 3. You can do that, and we mentioned it, the track walk in the pre-stream mentioned it too, how narrow 3 and 4 really are on this racetrack, how much that you just feel the presence of the outside and inside walls. Plank is doing an excellent job of running those 2 corners, though. Brandon Plank, I mean, he's won half the races. Oh my goodness, Richie Pereira with a slide job of the century back here. And
good stuff from the 96.
Yeah, and we've talked about Plank being very good, and I think this is just kind of all playing together into that sort of what we expect out of the 77X every night.
Yeah, you know, any other driver, I'd be like, okay, well, he can only do that for so long, as we do see some of the drivers start to kind of push up the racetrack just a little bit and experiment with the high side through 1 and 2. But into 3 and 4, again, Plank he literally looks like he's turning right into a wall, but he rides it perfectly onto the entry of that 3 and 4 section of this racetrack. It's really impressive stuff to watch, and I guess we shouldn't be surprised with Brandon Plank, right?
That is correct. He is one of those guys we could expect to see do very well on a regular basis. We got a little bit of a battle for second and a little bit of a battle for fourth going on right now. So you got Reynolds and Sharp racing each other for second here. Sharp in the red, Reynolds in this gray and black. And then you've got Pereira and Reiser, 2 black cars with some different colored trims right behind them. Brian Berger starting to get into the picture a little bit. That's a nice little group of battles going on. Those are for points-paying positions in this heat race. So those guys are trying their best to maybe get 1 or 2 points together. The championship's kind of tight. We're only halfway through, but every point counts.
I don't know if they had any strategists tuning in to our little pre-race segment where we talked about these points, but you can tell these guys know that there is points on the line, and they are racing hard for it. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Sharp, and Sharp's going to get the worst of it. Sharp goes up and over and fences it. Tough break for the driver of the 28 after contact there with Dean Reynolds, and we see the yellow flag has not come out. We're going to go white, and one more time around for Brandon Plank. It's Plank, Reynolds, Pereira, your top three right now, coming to the stripe. This time it's all Brandon Plank as he wins it over Dean Reynolds, Richie Pereira, and a good run there from amongst those top, really 3 and 4. You know, Joe, I was going to say before we saw that contact that this heat, the field really tightened up. I know Brandon Plank kind of ran away with things, but this was a much more even and tight race amongst the basically second on back.
Yeah, and it was a good heat race. And when the track works in more and gets slick, it gives you the opportunity to have really good two-lane racing as a warm-up session. We'll start for our grid of drivers, and we'll pop up the timing screen here as they've got about 5 minutes to kind of get themselves ready for 47 laps of action tonight. That was a tough break for Jeff Sharp. He was doing really well, and he's in that group of guys. They were really all racing together there in the second heat race. Him and Reynolds and Pereira. They have really shown out the last few weeks. They've had some really great runs in the group of them that I can't say we didn't expect, but they didn't have the quickest start to the season, so it was nice to see them come around and get some good runs. I mean, Pereira and Brian Berger got their first top threes of the season last week at Cedar Lake.
Yeah, and you know, taking a look at the points here, especially from, let's say, like Travis Miller, let's say even Cody Higbee on back, you know, there's not too many points separating these drivers. It's going to be easy to jump positions if you have a good night or you max out your points in one of these heat races. So I'm looking at Jeff Sharp right now. He's just sitting just inside the top 10 at 9th in points, but only 1 point ahead of a guy like Adam Hilton. He had about 30 some odd points to close in on Dean Reynolds, and you know, those points that he misses out by being involved in that incident, that like, it's going to go a long way it's going to hurt him and not necessarily go a long way, but he's going to miss out on those points, and it could cost him 2, 3, 4 positions in the standings when this is all said and done.
That is very much a possibility, and but we've talked about this already. We've kind of talked about how tonight's going to go in terms of, you know, is this going to be expectations met, or are we going to see some crazy stuff happen we didn't really expect to see when we showed up to Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania? This is a racetrack that sort of feeds the bill for something unique to happen, and it's definitely the type of racetrack that, well, we could see, you know, Dean Reynolds is fastest right now. I mean, only by 100th of a second, but that's something. And Ryan Beagle hasn't won a race yet this year either, which is kind of surprising to say at this point in the season.
Yeah, the big dog has had some good runs, but not able to knock one out just yet in terms of getting in the win column. He has had 3, if I'm reading this correct, 3 second-place finishes as well as 2 thirds. So he's no stranger to the podium, but yeah, I don't know what to expect from this guy. I think this could be the night.
I could see it. I won't call it because I don't know, but I wish I did, because then I would be, if I could see into the future, I'd probably be a millionaire. But I would love to see him do well. I'd love to see Cody Higbee do well again tonight. You know, he's in the points championship, and he kind of has had some weeks that haven't been quite as stellar. And then Travis Miller, I mean, he's been a champion of the series multiple times and hasn't cracked a win yet this season either. And he's running a Greg Hodnick car. That would be really awesome to see here at the Grove. Alan Slight, man, what can we say about Alan Slight, Jonathan? He's had some pretty good runs this season that have gotten taken away from him by no fault of his own.
Yeah, he's just one of those drivers who's been snake bit, and you know, sometimes your luck is what you make of it, and sometimes there's just nothing you can do to control the circumstances. And I think Alan's been on kind of both ends of that. As you can see, cars stacking up in front of him there. It looks like, I think that's Travis Miller that was involved in a little incident in this warm-up session, but the 2 car has had speed. We have seen him, you know, get involved in incidents while running inside the top 5, you know. So I look at Alan, I look at the 2 car, and I wonder what if. But that's kind of the good thing about this season being as long as it is. There is time to recover and get yourself back into the mix. You never know what could happen.
That is absolutely right. That is absolutely right. Well, we got about 45 seconds left. Once again, let's just get a quick shout out in. MDR Designs, Jam Performance, BRPtv, Dig Race Products, the Super Dirt Car Series, Creative Turnings, Southern Ontario Dirt Show, 47 Technology, Russ King Racing, all of the partners here, and everybody watching tonight. Let's give a shout out. Aaron Matthews and my dad are in the comments. We got about 20 people with us right now. I'm sure that number's going to go up once we call it. Hey, it's about time to go green for 47 laps of the 47 Technology CyberNationals and feature time. And tonight's race will be race number 9. And next time out, we'll start talking about the halfway point and the points and how everything feeds in. But only 20 drivers here tonight. That is a season low, but we kind of expected that out of Williams Grove. And the clock ticks out, and it's time to bring you your starting lineup. Let's get them onto the track, let them shape up and get set, and then we will bring you your starting grid.
And here we have it on screen now as we see the starting grid pop up. Ryan Beagle set to go from pole alongside series favorite Brandon Plank, who has been in control of pretty much the whole season. If he's not winning races, he's right up there challenging. And Cody Higbee, a driver who has also been up there and challenging for some wins throughout the year. He'll start third alongside Dean Reynolds in the 79, who starts fourth. Tyler Joshimbowski will line up fifth in the 088. Then it's Richie Pereira in the 96 machine. Travis Miller lines up seventh in the 22. Pat Reiser starts eighth in the 33. Then it's Travis Cunningham in the 90. And I believe, is it going to be Alan Slate to his outside? I'm trying to look at the grid as we start to see the cars rolling.
Yeah, so that will be Brian Berger to his outside. You weren't too far off. Yes, sir. You weren't too far off with Slate. But then there's Porter and Isley in row number 6. Row 7 is DeRitter and DePetro. Row 8 is Dean Meitzler and Liam Daniels. In row 9 is Al Slight and Adam Hilton. And the Beef and Jeff Sharp, they make up 19th and 20th on the grid. So that's your 20 cars, 47 laps. Caution laps will count tonight, which will probably prolong the race a little bit more than we're used to seeing yellows do so, because this track is longer, the one to go. Signal is given to Ryan Beagle, who will have control for I don't know how long. He's got Higbee, Reynolds, and Plank all within striking distance, Jonathan. So he's going to really have to put up a fight into turn number 1 if he wants to stay in that spot when they come past the stripe for completion of lap number 1.
He needs the kind of start he had in that first heat. If he can get one of those launches right off the bottom side of this racetrack, coming to green, he can clear Brandon Plank and maybe just get a little bit of distance and get comfortable before you have to go on the defense, right? Racing is all about your rhythms, getting your marks right, and if you don't have somebody breathing down your neck in the opening laps, it's much easier to get into that rhythm. As we get ready to go, the flag is up, the pedals are down, and we are away in what is going to be a fantastic race, I think, Joe. This is going to be fun, and it's kind of your race, right, buddy?
It is. It is my race. It's my home track. It's actually my birthday week, and sponsoring the race with 47 Technology. So I'm excited to see these guys rip the lip and run the bottom and do what they're going to do what they do best. And Brandon Plank is doing what he's always done best, and that is lead the first lap.
Yeah, Ryan Beagle really struggled to get away from the top 2, or the top 3 now, but top 2 drivers in this one. Brandon Plank has started to control this one. You can see him down on the bottom side, leading early. Beagle's going to have to settle into that rhythm like I was talking about, and then maybe he can set his sights on going back on the attack. As look at Dean Reynolds up there, doing a great job pushing the outside and trying to catch Brandon Plank to get to the outside and make a pass for that lead early in this one.
Ooh, and that was close to contact between the 79 and the 77X into the turn number 3. Plank sends it in pretty hard, and when you got a guy on the outside like this, you got to be careful. And Dean Reynolds around the outside, and Dean Reynolds, for the first time this season, leads the way down the back straightaway. We'll see if he can hold Plank back or if a slide job's coming. No, this is going to be the first lap led for Dean Reynolds this season, I believe.
Dean Reynolds to the front. Now Plank under fire from Beagle as he tries to squeeze up in front of the 84, who's now falling back into the clutches of the 96 machine. But everybody chasing Dean Reynolds. How about Dirt Car Dean doing a great job up at the front of this field? You know, this has been coming for a couple of weeks. He's really shown some improvement, shown that he's kind of got the game figured out. He's got his car feel figured out, and you give the guy track position. And the other thing I wanted to note here, Joe, is you can pretty much see now that Brandon Plank has settled into second. Nobody running the bottom side anymore. As I say that, Plank's going to go to the bottom on the inside of 3 and 4, but especially through 1 and 2, pretty much the entire field has moved up to the high side, and that is where we see kind of a snake of cars as Beagle's trying to go back to second, and he's going to have to carefully negotiate that corner to stay off of Brandon Plank, and he'll settle back into third.
Yeah, there's a pretty big separation here for the top 9, and I'm wondering if that's got something to do with the bottom versus top. Yeah, the top is so dominant right now, and we're only 8 laps into this race at this point. 39 to go, but about 40 laps left. There's plenty of time for the top to kind of wear in. Maybe see if you guys want to go try a DeWeese line and run to the bottom of the racetrack. Man, they are a train, though, and every once in a while you see somebody kind of jump out of line, like we see Ryan Beagle and Cody Higbee do right now to test the waters. There's plenty of time left in this race, so by all means, go try something different. But for the moment, the top is definitely the dominant way around Williams Grove.
Yeah, it sure seems that way, Joe, and at the moment, it's hard to figure out where exactly anybody is better than anybody else. It seems like some drivers have some good drive in, then they lack in the drive off. I think that's why you see guys like Beagle, Higbee, even Travis Miller, it looks like a little further back in the pack, who's trying that inside drive off line, as we see most of the field still working this single file up at the front, biding their time before they make it big challenge here. And as we look down the back straightaway, you can see kind of the second half of the field here. Travis Cunningham working in front of Slight, who gets a little piece there from, I'm not sure which car that was that he got into, but Alan Slight is driving off from that contact. No problem there. And it's funny how this field is split up, Joe. I don't really have an explanation for it. I almost wonder if maybe something happened a little earlier in this race that kind of stacked up the back half of the field, and then that's what we're left with.
Well, I'll tell you what most of the guys in this group are, and that is most of the guys in this back half group are driving 358 small blocks. There are a couple guys in this grouping that are big blocks, but the majority of them, and I mean, we talked about this, small blocks on a track with really long straightaways is going to be separation city. But, yeah, that's what's making the difference right now, because Josh Mbowski up here in 9th, big block, and then Isley's the leader of the rest of them back in 10th. He's running a small block. Cunningham and Slight both have big blocks, but then the rest of them back are pretty much all in small blocks. So that's kind of what we're seeing separation-wise, and I don't know if it's going to get better or worse at the end of this race as it slicks in.
It really depends, too, on the amount of cautions we get. Obviously, restarts are going to play a factor. Cautions breed cautions. We've seen it in this series throughout the season where we get one, it usually leads to a second, third, maybe even a fourth in short order. And I almost wonder if this field could be in danger of getting lapped at some point the way the separation is going, but that's just how things go when you've got this giant racetrack with such long straightaways for a 358 to be running.
Indeed, as now the two big blocks, Alan Slight and Travis Cunningham, go around the outside of Isley, and this race is kind of turning into one of the races you probably should have pulled a big block out for. I wonder if we're going to see lap traffic. We're a couple laps away from it, but not too far, because Dean and Brandon and Ryan, there went Corby Daniels on screen, and it's less than a straightaway now.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is definitely one of the ones that, you know what? It would have been fun almost maybe if you mandated this one as a small block event. That would have been kind of fun for the craziness, or I get the strategy. You know, this is obviously a race where the majority of the front runners are going to take a big block, take your small block, take your less than great finish. But if you can make the rest of the races, you could use this potentially as a drop event if you don't like your finish and you got something else you'd rather keep. So there's there's little to no risk for most of the drivers who ended up taking small blocks tonight, because somebody somewhere along the way is going to probably have to use a small block on a big track, and it could be to their disadvantage and it could be to your advantage. But every time I have to keep hold my breath every entry to 3 and 4, because Brandon Plank just pitches it in so aggressively, and that camera angle just looks like he is going to fence it perfectly.
Why don't we go on board with him this time? Man, he's close down there. There's Dean. There's Liam. So Liam is a lapped car. They've already lapped Beef, but they're going to go for the other Daniels brother. And that's the onboard from Brandon Plank, is now Reynolds. Can he get around? Oh, no! Oh, contact. Fortunately for Reynolds, whether for better or worse, he got a little bit of the tip of Brandon Plank, which stunted the 77X car. Oh, man, Liam's getting all over the place.
Yeah, doing everything he can to hang on to that 71 in front of this lead pack, and there's just nowhere to go when there's this many lead cars coming with the kind of speed that the big blocks have right now. Brandon Plank all over the back of Dean Reynolds, as you can understand with the contact with the lap car, and Reynolds has done a nice job recovering, though. Dean is getting right back into it and having a decent drive, holding off Brandon Plank at the front of the field as we're approaching halfway of this race.
We're getting there, and slowly but surely, Brandon Plank has kind of closed that gap in on Reynolds. Slowly but surely, we're working up to the top of the racetrack, and the top is still dominant, but we wonder how long that's going to last. And Brandon Plank dives again in 3 and 4. There's just no momentum on the bottom. Oh, but he pulled even this time. I'm wondering if the bottom's starting to come in a little bit. A little contact there, too, into turn 1.
Is it the bottom's coming in, or is the drive off going away from the top side of the racetrack? That's the question, Joe, and these drivers are going to have to figure out that answer. Brandon Plank has really committed himself to this inside line through 3 and 4. He just pitches it in so aggressively and gets a good drive off, and there's a couple drivers looking like they're us. We got a caution on the racetrack. I was going to say, a couple other drivers looking to maybe start taking advantage of that low line, too, as I saw Cody Higbee drifting down there again.
Yes, and this yellow, I believe, is going to come on behalf of Liam Daniels. And let's get a replay out. And for the first time tonight, check out what happened previously. No, yeah, I think what happened, unless it was Berger, actually. Do we think this is Brian Berger? Because he hit the pit lane as well, and Liam just came out of the pits. So let's see what we get here. We might be a little far back on this, but there's Reiser and Miller and Berger, all the Ers, in 4. I'm glad you liked that. And Miller, is this what we see? Now let's try this again. So we're gonna try again with the replay. And this is gonna be the cause of the yellow, because we got, yep, there it is. Okay, one more time. And we were about there last time we came through the replay anyway. But here's Berger.
Yeah, it looks like Miller gets to the inside of Berger, and I'm not sure maybe if Berger doesn't know, or let's see here. Miller's going to try a really aggressive slider, and can't make it stick, and it's Berger going for a tumble up and over and then over one more time for good measure. But tough break for Brian Berger, because he was looking pretty stout earlier in the night and fairly competitive with where he's at. But, yeah, the slide job gone wrong gets the 60 in trouble.
And that is going to, unfortunately, put Brian Berger to the tail end of the grouping in a big block. So tough break for the 60 car. Liam Daniels had some trouble of his own, so he was scored 20th. Brian Berger in 19th. They're the only two guys who are not on the lead lap at the restart here, as the pace lights are out on the pace truck. And Dean Reynolds is going to have a test for the first time tonight in restart world, with Plank to his outside, Beagle and Higbee in row number 2, and a great restart for the 79.
This is kind of what I was expecting to see earlier in the night in terms of restarts. You know, I mentioned that Ryan Beagle and I can't remember who, I think it was Brandon Plank that led the other heat to green, but Reynolds just really punched it as soon as he rounded out to the straightaway, and that has proved to be the move, as he is leading Brandon Plank right now on the restart. Cody Higbee back up to 3rd, past Ryan Beagle, and then we see cars starting to kind of freight train themselves Although one car down on the inside, Josh Szembowski trying to make some moves as he explores the lower half of this racetrack. Getting a little bit of a challenge there from Alan Slate, and Travis Cunningham is lurking there as well in the 90 machine. Looking strong throughout this field. Good racing on this restart.
And that yellow, we should mention, really was a help for Cunningham and Slight because they were caught up in the small block group for a while there. They got through past all of them, but they had so much separation to the leaders. They got an opportunity just now to get into contention again. The yellow comes out, and this one is going to be on Adam Hilton. But it did give those guys a good chance to get back into things. Let's check a replay.
So we can see Hilton there. On the bottom side, is he going to catch the fence? Looks like yes, he's going to catch the inside wall and go for a little bit of an adventure into the infield here, coming back onto the racetrack. But that's what I've been nervous about. A guy like Brandon Plank making that mistake. It's so easy to do, to just come into one of these corners a little bit too hard and then clip that inside barrier, and then you're all turned around, right, Joe?
Yep, and that's something I'm surprised we haven't seen already. I mean, Brandon Plank is flirting very much with the inside wall, especially in turn 3. And that's probably one of the hardest things about Williams Grove, too, is when we go into the part of the race where the top gets a little bit slicked off. You want to start migrating to the bottom where there's a little bit of grip left. Brian Berger getting a lap back here. You try to go down low, but there are tires and catch fences and guardrails, and in the real world, there are people down there. Fortunately, in the realm of iRacing, we don't have to deal with that, but there are flagpoles and all sorts of junk down there that these guys got to watch out for when they start doing that. And unfortunately, Hilton just apexed too soon, ran out of room, and brings out the second yellow of the evening.
Be interesting to see if Dean Reynolds can launch on this bottom side again the way he did on this last restart. It's the move for sure to take the bottom side on the restart, but Brandon Plank, if anybody is going to be able to take advantage of a less than ideal starting spot on a restart via lane choice, I think it's Brandon Plank who's going to be able to figure it out. Should be another good one, and I like you pointed out that guys like Alan Slate, Travis Cunningham, they've benefited from the yellows. Look how much they've closed up inside this. Alan Slate up to 7th place in this race, and that big block has him primed to make some moves here as we get ready to go back to green. A less than ideal start from Dean that time, and Brandon Plank's going to drop almost even into corner number 1.
Slide job by Reynolds, 3 wide for the lead out of turn number 2. Higbee tried to diamond, it didn't quite work. Him and Plank are going to go to the bottom again. Will the slider come from the 77X? It does not. He can't get up in time. Now they're 3 wide for second. As Dean Reynolds clears, Beagle now into second for the first time in a while. Reynolds, Beagle, Higbee, they run the top. Plank goes to the bottom. And off of the immediate restart, at least, the top's the way to go.
Yep, and look at Higbee following Plank down on the inside of 3 and 4. Kind of running the middle there is Cody Higbee. And Beagle.
Oh, we got one to go around.
That second spot. Oh, we got one car in the back around. Maybe 2 cars in the back around as Liam Daniels gets a piece of it.
Yep. DePetro and more here involved in the third yellow now. Let's take it a step back here. This is going to happen ahead of the 68 car. So we'll see who's to blame as down the stretch, we'll go up to where Miller is. How about that? There's Cunningham. Oh, there's the contact. Isley and Miller. Oh, and Sharp got it wrong on his own, too, actually. 28 car just spun in, going into the corner, and a couple of the special paints all getting into each other here. Pretty much all the special paints getting together here in 3 and 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure if... it looked like Jeff Sharp was kind of just on his own there and lost it. Maybe he was trying the Brandon Plank line and maybe tagged the wall and bounced him up the racetrack, but not exactly sure from that angle what exactly happened to Jeff Sharp. But tough break for a lot of drivers in this field, especially towards the back half, to collect some damage in that one, and we'll see if we can re-rack him keep it clean at the back of the pack. As we were getting great racing up at the front. That front four, this is as competitive and as fun I think we've seen it all race long. These guys are all on top of each other. Everybody chasing Dean Reynolds.
100% true. It's really getting racy at the front, and as long as everything stays clean at the back end as well, we could see some really great racing go on from here. Spotlighting a couple of the guys trying to work their way back up through the field. There's Miller. He's in 11th. Alan Slights in the top 10. Still, he's scored in, I think he's going to be starting in the 8th position there with Porter to his inside, or might go crisscross the other way around here. And Isley trying to work in the very, very top. Valiant effort. Still Plank and Reynolds at the front. Under the bridge they will go 1 to green from here. The pace truck will pull off, and we will get set to go again. We are inside of 10 to go. We will have, I believe, 8 at the stripe. And that's 8 laps to figure out who wins this race.
I've got my eyes on Cody Higbee. Starting on the outside in row number 2. I think that could be very advantageous for him as the field fans out coming to green. And Dean Reynolds nailed the start on that one. He's gone on a country mile into corner number 1 and driving away from this field down the back straightaway. Everybody trying to settle into line and figure out who's going where as Plank and Higbee are up on the high side. Now it's Beagle working the low side, trying to get the 84 up into the top 3. But Dean Reynolds still in control of this one.
Reynolds, Plank, Higbee, Beagle. That's your top 4. Jump back to Pat Reiser and Richie Pereira. They race for 5th with Slight, who's made up 2 spots. And actually, Gavin Isley is working his way up, too, in the small block. Everybody trying to run the top side except Plank goes middle. 7 to go at the line. There's Reiser. There's Beagle. And Dean Reynolds still up to the top. Everybody's still up to the top. Nobody really venturing to the super low side quite yet. But when we come to the line again, we'll have 6 to go. And I just can't see those guys like Higbee and Beagle settling into 3rd and 4th for the rest of this race. I think they're going to start trying stuff. Well, here you go. They sure riding already.
You got to now, right? This is not like one of those NASCAR Super Speedway races where you can wait till the last minute to make a move. You got to start setting something up and advancing forward if you're going to put the pressure on Dean Reynolds with 6 laps to go. Into 3 and 4, he's got Brandon Plank tailing him. Ryan Beagle taking a notebook or a page out of the notebook of Brandon Plank, going to that inside line, getting aggressive, but he doesn't have the same drive off that we saw from the 77, who I think Brandon Plank might be saving a little something here.
Probably. That's not a bad idea. 5 laps to go. Just stay in line. We won't finish under yellow, so even if there is a caution, he'll have an opportunity. Dean Reynolds has been running a great run so far, though. Aside from running into the back of Liam as a lapped car, Liam Daniels, this has been a pretty stellar performance. Plank can really put that car in the corners, though. Look at how high up he goes into the tacky stuff to try to get a little extra grip. Will he try the bottom?
He's got great drive off. Going into 2 and or out of 2 and into 3 and 4, you can see he was all over the back bumper of Reynolds, and he continues to keep a pretty tight gap to the back of that 79 machine, keeping the pressure on, because who knows, maybe he can pressure Reynolds into making a mistake, and then it's not going to take a bold move from Brandon Plank to take advantage of this one. But great job from these front 2, and even Cody Higbee trying to do something on that bottom side. If everybody's going to run the top, you got to go somewhere else, right?
Very true. Very true. As Reynolds leads into 1 and 2 again, Plank is just Plank's actually doing really well right there. He runs just a little bit tighter line around the corner, but he's still got plenty of grip in it. There's a slider from the 77X into the wall, and Reynolds.
Too much slide.
Yep, back over under, crisscross to the white flag this time.
That was a bit too early. I think Brandon Plank could have made it happen a little bit later on, maybe on the final lap. That was the move. But into 3 and 4 for the final time here, I don't think he's got the positioning to make it happen. He's going to have to play defense as Cody Higbee's going to try to throw a big slider and get in there. But I don't think either of them are going to get there. It's going to be Dean Reynolds who's going to come across the line and win the 47 Technology CyberNationals here at Cedar Lake. Great racing, and congrats to Dirt Car Dean picking up the checker.
Wow. We were talking about this race being a curveball, and Dean has been so good so far this season, but a win. He pulled that out. He hasn't even gotten onto the top 3 podiums yet this season, and here we have a winner. think this is his first time ever with the BRP iRacing Series, too. In the Super Dirt Car Series MDR Designs, number 79, Dean Reynolds has won the 47 Technology CyberNationals, the first inaugural at this track. We weren't even here last season with the BRP iRacing Series, and now Dean Reynolds, he is the winner, and he gets to talk to Jonathan Howe, and I'm sure this is going to be an ecstatic driver right here as we'll hand the mic to you, Jonathan.
All right, as we wait for Dean to join us, Dean Reynolds, you got a copy, my friend?
Yes, I do. How you doing?
I am doing pretty good, but I don't think I'm doing it quite as well as you are. You worked hard for that one, and you must be ecstatic with the result tonight. Dean, just talk to us about an amazing drive and capturing the victory here tonight.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm one of the few guys that actually love Williams Grove. I love running the top here. I feel real comfortable here in USA, and I just came in hoping to, actually get a top 5. I really just wanted a top 5, and if I got a podium, that was cake. But I never thought I would win a BRP race, and to beat Brandon Plank and have Cody Higbee and Ryan Beagle, I mean, they're the best, and they were right behind me, and I don't know how close they were because I wasn't looking at my mirror.
It got close at several points, but at one point of this race that I want to ask you that was particularly close was the contact when you guys were coming up on Liam Daniels in the 71, and it looked like he made a mistake in front of it. You got a piece of it. In that moment, how worried were you that moment might have cost you this entire win?
That was a short stainer, I can tell you. Liam didn't do anything wrong. I actually misjudged it. I was going to go underneath him and do a slider. He was just holding his line. That's all I wanted him to do. And he apologized in Discord. And I said, no, dude, that was on me. I actually misjudged that. And, the lap cars, I mean, they knew you were coming, and they said that in the Discord. And I tell you, though, I was glad that yellow came out when there was like 7 of them ahead of me, though.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have anything to have open and clean racetrack in front of you? Dean, who do you want to thank for this win here tonight?
Well, and I'm part of a race team that really helped me step up my game this year. I'm part of Full Throttle Motorsports, and even though that's I have open setups there, they help me with my lines and teach me what to do and get a little quicker. So I got to thank those guys, but I also got to thank BRPtv and you guys. This telecast is the best one going. It's awesome. I send a link to my dad and to my girl, and they watch, and hopefully they had a good time watching this. And I got to thank Beef and Matt for an awesome league. Matt does my car. This is the only league I run this car. I only run his paint schemes in the league, and got to thank them. I tell you, thank to the sponsors, and usually I know what to say, but I can't believe I actually won a freaking BRP race. That's awesome.
Congratulations, Dean Reynolds started 4th, brings it home first. Congrats, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Dean Reynolds, your winner here tonight. And I think I said that wrong, Joe. Did I say Cedar Lake earlier? I meant Williams Grove. I think I'm living in the past here, buddy.
Hey, man, no worries. One guy who's not living in the past tonight is Dean frickin' Reynolds. That was an excellent race. Not too shabby. We're used to seeing this guy up front. And actually, Brandon, this is your first second-place finish of the season. I'm sure you wanted to get that win, but you had a pretty darn good race tonight, too.
Yeah, not bad. Man, that was a lot of fun. I like Dean, but man, I really wanted to see him miss it at least once and get in a little too hot or not hot enough, and I just couldn't do anything. I tried to throw a big slider there and was kind of waiting and hoping that I was going to get hit in the bumper, not hit the wall, and just couldn't pull it off. But a lot of fun, and congrats to him for sure.
Absolutely. And you talk about trying something, waiting for him to make a mistake. That was kind of the name of the game tonight because the bottom really didn't become a factor. And I'm kind of curious to hear, as you went through the race, you were trying stuff. I mean, you were one of the guys who really got explorations at points in this race. Was that different? Did you expect it to be a bottom kind of moving race over time? Or were you kind of aware that coming into this race we were going to be up at the top the whole way through?
No, I assumed, honestly, it was going to be right around the hub. And even throughout the practice session for this race, I was really trying to get as close to the inside wall as I could consistently without hitting it. And yeah, throughout the race, I thought that I was going to be able to pull down to the inside, and I didn't gain anything. So then next lap, I tried to maybe wait on the throttle a little bit longer. That didn't seem to help. It was just really tough. Definitely not anticipating the top being so good. And just because it's so hard to pull out of line, like a lot of these tracks. But yeah, Dean just didn't miss it, and I needed him to.
And we talk a lot about the points. We have tonight talked a lot about the points. And you're going to take, don't know if you're going to take the championship lead back with this one tonight, but you're definitely going to make a huge chunk of gain on Gavin Isley, as he did not have the best finish of the season for him. But you ran the big block, and we're curious about your strategy with the small blocks for the rest of the season, because that's a factor in getting to the end of this championship.
Yeah, for sure. It's certainly something that you end up debating, every week before you join the server. Small block racing, I brought one last week and didn't have the finish that I was looking for. I think you need, smaller, maybe high momentum tracks, and there's not a lot of those. So you got to try to, find the races that try to maybe fit the small block best, but it's certainly tough. I think, I don't know, you could correct me. I don't know if a big block hasn't won this season yet.
No, that has not happened yet this season, and that's going to be something to watch out for as we move forward, Brandon. But that's in the future, and for the moment, you're second place on the night at Williams Grove. That's a heck of an accomplishment. Who do you have behind you to thank for this performance?
Yeah, thanks. Traditional lacrosse, ultrafab 4-wide. It's really cool. I kind of say this, often, but it's really cool to get on here and, appreciate you guys in the announcing booth. You do such a good job with it. Beef and Matt, we were talking about it at the trade show this weekend down in Philly quite a bit about how cool this deal is. And, there was a lot of guys that said, hey, I'm going to be watching you tonight. So it's cool. I think it's gaining some traction, and yeah, just appreciate, the names on the car and also you guys for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Brandon, for being a part of the series, and you do very well week in, week out. We might be talking to you at the top of the podium next week, but congratulations on the second tonight.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you.
And that's Brandon Plank, and I wish I would have known he was in Philly, because I don't live too far from there. I could have gone down and said hey at the booth. But Jonathan, used to being up in a booth, whether it's on the radio or at Merrittville Speedway, I'll hand the mic back to you because you get to talk to our third place finisher, Cody Higbee.
Cody Higbee, you got a copy.
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right, it's Jonathan Howe up in the booth, catching up with Cody Higbee. Bringing it home third tonight, buddy, in what was a really valiant effort. You were one of the guys who tried to make the bottom side work on this racetrack throughout basically the entire race. Just talk to us about the unique lines that you guys had to run to try to gain some forward momentum throughout this event.
Yeah, I was actually pretty excited to see that Williams Grove was next on the schedule. I have a lot of laps here, and surprisingly, it's probably my favorite track on iRacing, just because as the race goes on, it really widens out and makes for some really fun racing. And near the end there, the straightaway moisture was like really key to running the bottom. So I just really tried to roll it there, and it was a blast running with these guys.
And just talk to us about, you started fifth, you ended up third, you were up inside the top five the entire night. Started third and then it fell back to fifth, I should say, early in this one. But just talk to us about how even it felt. Like you, Brandon Plank, Ryan Beagle, and even Dean Reynolds, who ended up winning this one. You guys felt like you guys were on top of each other the entire night. Just talk about how even it felt like you and the front runners were in this one.
Definitely. It felt like that was the hardest I've ever worked for a third place finish. But this place just makes for some awesome racing. The cars are kind of on top of each other, so it could be a wreck fest. But, we have a really good group of guys, so you really just got to trust these guys, and it turns out to be really good racing.
Well, congratulations. Who do you want to thank for the podium finish here tonight?
Thank you. I just want to give a big shout out to Dean Reynolds for winning it. Me and Dean really race a lot together, and he's really clean. He's probably one of my favorite drivers to run with, and I just want to thank you guys for putting this on. Thank Beef, everybody that puts into this, and everybody that's watching.
Well, congratulations. Cody Higbee brings it home third after a hard-fought 47 laps.
Thank you.
Wow, Jonathan. I mean, I'm not going to lie, Jonathan. The last time this group came to Williams Grove, we did not have anywhere near as clean of a race as we did. Last time that we came here were with modifieds for the BRP series, and things just went well tonight. I mean, the guys really had a good racetrack and good cars. I don't want to say I'm surprised, but I'm kind of surprised.
I think the real surprise of the night is Dean Reynolds, and it shouldn't be a surprise to any of us. This guy is taking the time. He's putting in the effort, the care to actually be competitive, to not just be a back marker in this, which it really could be easy to be someone who just settles in and tries to get, a solid top 10 finish and see where you're at the end of the year. But the last couple weeks, Dean Reynolds has really come on strong. He's put the pressure on. He has shown that he can be a competitor with the top names in this series and the top drivers in the standings, like a Plank or like a Beagle. So it's a surprise that we had as clean of a race as we did, but at the same time, I think this is just everybody hitting their mid-season stride,
I would agree with that. I think that's a really great point. And yeah, it was a very clean race. I mean, we had a couple cautions, but you're always going to have a couple cautions, and everybody really getting in the stride of the season, and we've got some really big names up at the front at the end of this one. Some guys who we haven't even seen on podiums yet, and some guys that we haven't really seen not on podiums when they show up to these races. So final results coming up on the screen now. Dean Reynolds is your race winner tonight. Brandon Plank is second. Cody Higbee third. Excellent run for Dean. Excellent run. Good stuff for Dean Reynolds. Beagle and Reiser make up the top five. Ryan with a great run tonight as well. He was up fighting for the lead at points in the event. Pat Reiser holds on to fifth with a good run over Richie Pereira, who had a great night in the 96 car. Alan Slight will round out seventh. He had to fight his way back up through the field, and he did so. Travis Miller finishes eighth in the Hodinette, numbered 22. Gavin Isley puts a small block in the top 10, and Travis Cunningham in the 90. He rounds out with a top 10, and that is, I believe, only his second or third this season. Actually, it's his first. So first top 10 of the season for Travis Cunningham.
Yeah, he's been looking forward to something like that, and he's had the opportunities for sure to finish up inside the top 10. He's been frustrated with himself. Hopefully, he can build a lot of confidence off that one. Adam Hilton ends up third, or ends up 11th in the 3 car, which is a pretty decent recovery for a guy who was one of our cautions tonight. Jeff Sharp also recovering nicely to finish 12th. Then it's the pistol Jamie Porter bringing it home 13th. Tyler Joshimbeski ends up 14th. Dave DePetro 15th. Dean Meitzler ends up 16th, and then the Beef Corby Daniels, the last car on the lead lap, in 17th. Brian Berger, we saw him have some trouble. He ends up 1 lap down in 18th. Matt DeRitter, I'm not really sure what happened to Matt tonight. I don't think we said his name once, but yeah, he ends up 2 laps down and finishing in 19th. And Liam Daniels, the last car in this field, brings it home 20th, 4 laps down after being involved in some incidents.
And that's the 20 drivers who made the call to race at the 47 Technology CyberNationals tonight here on BRPtv with the BRP iRacing series. Jonathan, we're 47 laps down. That was an awesome way to start off the week. And about a week from now, hey, look out. We're going to Weedsport. A lot of these guys are from New York or in Canada. You could argue that's the home race for all of our northern neighbors. Northern neighbors to me, I guess they're your neighbors, Jonathan. But that is going to be a big deal race because a lot of these guys are going to be at a track that represents home, and it's going to be a very special memorial race next week too.
Yeah, going to be a special one. It's going to be one that everybody's going to want to try to win, and I think it's a track that a lot of drivers are going to be very familiar with. So I expect a very even, a very hard-fought race next week, and it was a very even and hard-fought race this week amongst the front runners, and I think that's going to carry over to next week for sure.
We hope so, and hopefully that excellent racing carries forward to Weedsport next time. But Williams Grove, you were pretty kind to us this week. There's the bridge. We love the bridge. They're updating the bridge at Williams Grove, probably as we speak in the daytime hours. But congratulations again. There he is, Dean Reynolds. He gets his first win of the BRP iRacing series, and that's 9 races in, 11 to go, and we'll keep talking about that championship and everything to go along with some of these guys who are really hitting their stride as we go to Weedsport next week. Thank you all so much for watching. We appreciate the continued love and support from everybody who comes out on a weekly basis to see these shows live on BRPtv. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, hit the bell icon to enable notifications on when we go live. On behalf of the series partners, MDR Designs, Creative Turnings, Jam Performance, the Super Dirt Car Series, Dig Race Products, 47 Technology, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, and, of course, us here at BRPtv, Matt DeRitter and Corby Daniels co-hosting the series. Dean Reynolds, the winner, along with all the other drivers. Jonathan Howe beside me in the booth. I'm Joe Donahue. A pleasant adieu to all of you, and we will see you in Weedsport, New York in 1 week's time.